Today's about Webex AI Voice, and we're basically going to talk about all of the benefits about moving your phone systems to the cloud. I know a lot of people are talking about moving pretty much all their systems to the cloud with everything, but before you do that, are you really ready to move everything to the cloud? And your cloud adoption strategy is something that we're going to discuss how we can support you with at CSG. A lot of customers are currently making this a priority. BT landline cutting off, a lot of motivations to move to the cloud, providing a lot more secure systems, being able to work from anywhere remotely, and most importantly, talking the conversation today is being able to provide that service to your customers and to provide that experience that Webex AI Voice brings. AI, we're all really, really in depth with making the use of it now because long gone are the days where it's just a discussion point. We're actually really getting the benefits out of it and utilizing it as a tool and making it part of everyday life. And I think now it's really important to just evaluate your ROI on your AI strategy because it's not enough just to have a tool, implement it, and just have a few employees working on it anymore. We need to really be working out what your return is from it, if your staff are using it correctly and making the most out of it. I don't know about you, but a lot of times I go and talk to businesses and they're like, yeah, we've got this tool, but we don't know if we're using it properly. We don't actually know if we're getting the benefits of it. So CSG are here to support you with that AI strategy implementation as well. So today's speakers is the lovely Jason from Gamma. We've got an expert with us today talking about all the platforms that we'll be working with Webex AI Voice, and then myself who help run these webinars, but you're used to seeing me now. That's all from me, short intro today, and I'm going to hand you over to Jason now.
Yeah, thanks, Eve. So good morning, everyone. My name is Jason Ewers. I'm one of the sales specialists at Gamma. I'm not entirely sure what everybody in this call today knows about Gamma, but just to fill in any potential blanks, Gamma's one of Europe's leading providers of cloud unified communications and network services. And we sell those products and services through a channel partner network, of which CSG is one of those key partners. So what I'm going to be doing during this session today is bringing to life Webex AI Voice. We'll be going through the available user packages within the product, and those user packages provide different feature sets and capabilities that you can align to your users to provide those feature sets that they need. Those different user packages can be mixed and matched across your users and aligned to users or sets of users to provide them with the feature sets that they require. Webex, as per the title of today's session, it has AI at the core. So we'll also be exploring some of those AI capabilities in the product and aligning some kind of real use cases of where you can benefit from that AI capability in the product. Just some other areas that we'll touch upon today as well. We'll go through some of the devices that are available on the product. I mean, of course, you can use Webex as a cloud telephony product in a totally kind of soft phone deployment strategy, but there are devices that are available as well, so users can have a kind of traditional telephony experience if that's their preference, of a physical phone on the desk, while at the same time being able to access the very rich feature set that's available within the product. So just to give you a little bit of information about Webex AI Voice. So Webex is a product that Gamma has brought to the wholesale market through our partnership with Cisco. As you guys on the call may be aware, Webex is a Cisco product. In terms of kind of some numbers and some standout items, there are around about 18 million users using Webex currently. And when we talk about 18 million users, that's 18 million users specifically using Webex as a telephony platform. Webex, of course, can also be used as a meeting and messaging platform as well. And when you look at users that are benefiting from those particular feature sets, the number of users swells to around about 60 million users globally. So it's a very heavily used product globally, and many organizations that are reliant upon highly available, robust and feature set unified comms platforms have put their trust in the Webex platform essentially. Webex is a Gartner Magic Quadrant leading UCaaS proposition. So I guess Gartner's Magic Quadrant for unified communications is kind of the holy Bible that determines who the industry leading vendors are in that particular space. And Cisco with Webex is very much up in that top right hand corner of that quadrant as being an industry leader. As far as Gamma is concerned, Gamma is the #1 UK SIP provider in the UK. 1 in 3 business calls made in the UK traverses Gamma's network infrastructure. Just moving back to the Webex proposition again as well, we've already kind of briefly touched upon the all-inclusive user packages and the different user packages that are available on Webex. But those inclusive user packages provide a lot in the way of feature sets. So you get a lot of bang for your buck, essentially. So unlike on other unified comms platforms, where if you want call recording or Microsoft Teams integration or contact center capabilities or messaging and meetings capabilities natively within that platform, what you often have to do is add layers of subscriptions, layers of licenses in order to introduce and light up those feature sets. But one of the key benefits of Webex, with a single user license, all of those feature sets can be included. So it kind of negates the need for layering up those licenses and increasing the complexity of the deployment and indeed the cost. Again, we've also touched upon devices very briefly, but what we also have on Webex is a very extensive device range. So Cisco devices, Poly devices, Yealink devices can be consumed and used on the Webex platform. But it's probably also worth saying that Webex also provides a lot of scope for end users to bring their own devices. So Cisco on the Webex platform, they have device support for multi-vendor devices. So the likelihood is if you want to move your telephony platforms over to Webex AI Voice, and you've recently undertaken a process of replacing your hardware devices, then there's every possibility that those hardware devices will be supported and can be moved onto the Webex platform for you to use. And then finally on this slide, again, in relation to Gamma, where Gamma's kind of core value add is introduced into the proposition is through sales and support wrap, where we're actually supporting our partners such as CSG. So we've kind of already looked at this in some detail already, but as I say, Webex is very much a Gartner Magic Quadrant UC platform. But in addition to that, Cavell, an independent organization, carried out some research back end of last year, where what they were looking at is who they deem to be the industry leaders come the end of 2028. Now, obviously, only time will tell how accurate this forecast is, but as you can see in that slide on the left-hand side, or that graph on the left-hand side, what Cavell are forecasting is that Microsoft with Microsoft Teams will commandeer just over 40% of the market, with Cisco with their Webex proposition coming in second with 31% of the market. So, those two vendors combined, Cavell are forecasting that they'll commandeer around about 72% of the market of UC users. And then obviously you have the other UC vendors, as you can see in the slide there. But it's probably also worth saying as well that, from a customer's choice perspective, I don't know if you saw it on the previous slide there, that although Webex is a Gartner Magic Quadrant leading UCaaS platform, it's probably also very important to point out that Gartner also issue a peer insights piece of research whereby Webex came out as the customer's top choice in terms of a unified comms platform, in terms of ease of use, access to feature sets and capabilities. And again, just to underpin, some of those highlights that we've already kind of skirted across. Just in terms of some numbers, around about 18 million voice users on Webex. As I say, if you then include users that are using Webex for meetings and messaging requirements, that number swells to over 50 million users, 100 million devices shipped, with over 8 billion monthly calls traversing the WebEx platform. So, as I say, a very, very heavily used platform globally. So what we're going to do in this part of the session, we're going to basically go a little bit further into these user packages that are available on WebEx AI Voice. So what you're looking at on this slide here on the left and the right-hand side are the 6 different user packages that you can take on WebEx AI Voice. And as I mentioned earlier on, these different user packages can be mixed and matched across a single deployment. And what these user packages provide are differing features that you can align to your users and or teams of users to provide them and them only with the feature sets that they require. So let's get a deeper dive into these different user packages right now. So the entry-level user subscription on WebEx AI Voice is a user package that's called Common Area Calling. Now, this is the only user package on WebEx that doesn't include those all-inclusive feature sets that we mentioned earlier on. So this is a user package that's really designed to be used in conjunction with a physical device. And ultimately, all this particular user package provides is dial tone calling capabilities. So some classic use cases for this particular subscription on AI Voice are for unmanned receptions or door entry systems, for example. You know, a lot of organizations want a door entry system. You know, they press a button and a door opens. And quite often on other telephony platforms, they still require quite a robust user license in order to do that when, ultimately the requirement is very, very basic. So with that type of application requirement, the common area calling subscription is ideal for those unmanned receptions in any school deployments. Classroom would be an ideal use case. And we've also mentioned door entry systems as well. So a very basic user package, but priced accordingly for those types of user cases. But what we're going to take a look at next are the user packages, namely WebEx Voice, WebEx Calling, WebEx Suite, and WebEx Customer Assist. And these user packages now provide those all-inclusive feature sets. And what you can see on this slide here is just an example of some of those feature sets that are included with these particular user packages. So I won't kind of go into every single one of these features right now, but I'll pick some out. So what you're going to get with these particular user packages, you're going to get the WebEx application that can be deployed obviously on your desktop. You can download WebEx and run that on your mobile device. The user experience will be exactly the same. That call will remain on the same platform, so you can seamlessly hand calls off between those different applications or devices. You're going to get call recording included. And that call recording will give you access to some AI capabilities as well. So, for example, the ability for users to access those call recordings within their WebEx softphone application. So not only the ability to listen to those call recordings, but also be presented with AI-generated summaries of what those call recordings were about. So ultimately, using AI to create your post-call notes. And what users will also be able to access as far as call recordings are concerned is access to transcriptions of those call recordings as well. So a word-for-word transcription of the entire call recording. You're going to get access to analytics via an interface that's called the Control Hub. So the Control Hub on WebEx is kind of like the admin portal, but it's also the portal that you can give specific users access to certain areas of the platform. And one of those areas will be access to analytics. So the ability to create dashboards and access reporting, so you can gain access to user activity, call activity, how many meetings have been arranged and have external participants join those meetings, etc. Call queues. So call queues, very much a kind of customer experience type capability. So the ability for users to participate inside of call queues or hunt groups, as you may refer to them. Hunt groups are available on WebEx, but what call queues represent are kind of like a hunt group that's on steroids. So what call queues provide above and beyond what a hunt group provides are features like the ability to provide a caller with information about their position in queue, or even advise a caller what their estimated wait time is likely to be, or give a caller the option to actually retain their position in queue and request a callback. So features, as I say, that are very much designed around providing a much richer customer experience. So as I say, I won't go through all of these different features on this slide, but I just wanted to sort of give you a little bit of a flavour as to some of these features that are included in these user packages. So the first all-inclusive user package that we'll take a look at is a package that's called Webex Voice. So Webex Voice is a voice-only user package, but as you can see on the slide here, what it is going to provide you in terms of feature set is access to the Webex application. As I mentioned earlier on, you can install that on your desktop device. You can install it on your mobile device. It can be deployed in a thin client, a kind of remote desktop type IT strategy. You're going to get the AI assistant included for calling as well. So what the AI assistant for calling is going to provide you with is that ability to gain access to your call recordings, those AI generated summaries, insights into any action items that we discuss within those call recordings, as well as access to those transcriptions of those call recordings as well. So all accessible within the Webex application. Teams integration as well. So this particular user package doesn't include any native Webex meetings or messaging. As I say, it's voice only. So this would be an ideal user package for an organization or a user that is using Microsoft Teams, for example, as their go-to platform for meetings and messaging. A lot of organizations are already quite invested in Microsoft Teams. So that's absolutely fine. You know, in that particular scenario, you can take Webex Voice, benefit from all of that voice capability that Webex brings into the equation, but at the same time, you're able to integrate Webex seamlessly into Microsoft Teams. And one of the key benefits of doing that with Webex is you don't need any of the Microsoft licensing that is ordinarily required to voice enable Teams. So within the Teams App Store, you can simply just do a quick search for Cisco calling, click on that free of charge application. And what that will then do is basically embed your Webex call control directly inside of Microsoft Teams. And what that then will provide is bi-directional presence and availability across both Teams and Webex. So if you're on a call, it will show that you're on a call in both Microsoft Teams and inside of Webex. You're going to get a very rich suite of CX features and capabilities. So that's your kind of voice contact center capabilities. So your call queues that are referenced on the previous slides, that ability for your teams to log in, make themselves available in those call queues, provide callers with insights into their position in queue, estimated wait time to answer, request a callback, and even apply a variety of different routing options within those call queues as well. So I won't go through all of the different routing options that are available because there are quite a few, but one is skills-based routing. So if you've got a customer services team, for example, and that customer services team consists of 10 team members, there may be 2 of those team members that are very, very highly skilled customer services agents. So in that particular scenario, you might want to use skills-based routing as your routing method. When a call comes into that queue, it will hunt out those 2 users that are of the highest skill level and then present that call to those 2 users in the first instance. But then what you can then do is the other 8 users in that particular call queue, you can give them a lesser skill level, which obviously reduces their likelihood of being presented with a call. So lots of options around routing. And again, just another feature that you have available as well is what we call CLI selectability. So what that basically means is the ability for a user within the Webex application to change what their outbound phone number presentation is. So for example, you might have a user that has a DDI number, a direct dial number that goes straight to them. But equally, that user may be a member of a call queue or a number of call queues that different phone numbers that people calling from the outside world call in order for that call to be presented into that queue. So if I've taken a call to action on a call that came into a call queue today, and I need to call that customer back later today with some information they've requested, as I call them back later today with the information that they need, the phone number that I want to present as I make that outbound call is the phone number associated with the call queue that they initially called into. So that customer then knows who that call is coming back from. So really simple and easy to manipulate and change what that outbound phone number presentation is within the Webex application. Just an example there of some of the different types of devices that you might want to use on that particular user package, and some different use cases as well. So hybrid workers, mobile workers, and knowledge workers, kind of ideal types of users to consume that particular user package. So moving on to the next user package, which is called Webex Calling. So Webex Calling does everything that Webex Voice does, the previous user package. But what Webex Calling does in addition, it brings Webex meetings and messaging capabilities into the product. But what it also provides in terms of AI is AI in relation to messaging. So when we talk about messaging, what I'm talking about specifically is instant message conversations. And those instant message conversations can be either on a one-on-one basis with a colleague, or as a group chat type conversation. So let's say, for example, you are a member of a WebEx group chat conversation, or a WebEx space, as Cisco refer to it. And that's a project group that you're a member of. You've been out of the office for the day, you come back in the next day, you log into WebEx, and you can see within that group chat conversation, there's been a lot of collaboration, a lot of conversations being had about the project. And as you look at that, that collaboration thread and those threads of conversations, you think, wow, this is going to take me quite a bit of time to read through all this content and get up to speed on what's been going on within the project. So an example of how you can use the AI feature within this particular user package is to summarize those threads of conversations. And what that will then do is provide the user with a very succinct summary of what all those threads of conversations were about, along with identification of any key action items that we discussed within that group chat. So I can very, very quickly get up to speed on what's been going on in that group chat while I've been out of the business. Just a couple of other features that are introduced into this particular user package as well are features like Slido. So Slido is a feature that allows you to effectively gamify your meetings. So all of us spend lots of time in kind of Teams meetings and WebEx meetings on a daily basis. But what Slido allows you to do, it's a product that can promote kind of engagement in those meetings. So the ability to create polls on the fly, and obtain feedback from the audience. So that's what kind of Slido brings into the equation. And another feature called Vidcast, which is ultimately a tool that allows you to create video content on the desktop that can be used for a variety of reasons. I think there is a slide that we kind of touch upon that in a little bit more detail a little bit later on. But again, just an example of some of the different devices that you might want to think about using with that particular user package. So as well as desk phone devices, you can see meeting room equipment there as well, given that this particular user package supports meetings capabilities. And again, an example of some of the different types of users on the right hand side there that could benefit from that particular user package. So as we move on to the next user package that's available, it's called WebEx Suite. And I guess this is kind of like the flagship user package that's available on WebEx. So this is, as you can see there, this is very much an AI at the core user package. So WebEx Suite, again, it provides all of the same feature sets that WebEx Calling does. So in other words, it provides calling, it provides messaging and native meetings capabilities, but it's now also introducing AI, not just for calling and messaging, but also AI for meetings. So an example, or a couple of examples where you can use AI for meetings, is, let's say you've got a company meeting that's happening later today, but you can't join that meeting because you've got another meeting commitment, but there's going to be some interesting and important information discussed in that meeting that's relevant to you. So in that scenario, that meeting can be recorded to give you access to that meeting recording at a later date when you've got time to go through it. But that might be a 2 hour long meeting. And with the best will in the world, you probably haven't got 2 hours in your week to actually sit through that 2 hour meeting recording. So what this particular user package could allow you to do is to actually upload that meeting recording into the Vidcast tool that we looked at on the previous slide. And using the AI capability within this particular user package, you can gain access to summaries and transcriptions of those meetings, as well as the ability for a video to be created that's just giving you access to the highlights of that meeting. So rather than it be a 2 hour meeting recording, you've now got a 20-minute meetings highlights video that you can access where you can actually then consume the key elements that we discussed within that meeting. So really kind of improves that sort of efficiency piece. Again, another example of some of the different types of devices that you might want to think about using with that particular user package. And again, some examples of the key types of user that may benefit from that particular user package. So kind of exec assistant type users would certainly benefit from Webex Suite. So the next user package we come to is called Webex Customer Assist. Now, probably the easiest way to describe what Webex Customer Assist is, it's kind of Webex, the same as Webex calling. So it's going to give you voice, it's going to get or calling, it's going to give you messaging and meetings, it's going to give you AI for voice and messaging. But what it provides above and beyond what Webex calling provides, it attaches kind of a turbo booster pack to the call queue aspect, the contact center aspect. So this particular user package, as you can see on the right hand side there, is really aimed at customer experience agents or contact center agents. So what you get with this particular user package is the ability to queue double the amount of calls in a queue that you can have on Webex Voice and Webex Calling, and indeed Webex Suite. And you can deploy 10 times the amount of agents in those call queues. So you can have up to 500 agents as a member of a call queue. But what this particular user package also provides, in addition, is the ability to gain access to analytics inside of the Webex application. So a regular customer assist agent would be able to see the status of the call queues of which they're a member. How many calls are currently queuing? How many agents do we have logged into those queues? How many of those agents are currently available to take those calls? How long's the longest queuing call been queuing in those particular queues? And supervisors also have access to a lot more granularity in relation to reporting and insights within the Webex application, but also the ability to real-time engage with their agents. So the ability to do things like silent monitor an agent, whisper coach an agent, force an agent into a particular status if they're not in the correct status, and be able to do all that from within the Webex application itself. And then finally, as far as user packages are concerned, the final user package that's available is called Webex Suite. Webex Meetings, as you can see here. And what Webex Meetings is, it's exactly the same as Webex Suite. The only thing that it doesn't have that Webex Suite has is the calling aspect. So with this particular user package, you can only make internal calls. You can't make and receive calls to and from the outside world. So I guess an obvious use case for this particular user package might be a project manager, for example. So a project manager probably doesn't spend any real time having one-on-one calls with an individual contact, but that individual may be spending a lot of their time in meetings, and they need to have those meetings recorded and summarized and transcribed, etc., etc. So this Webex package would be ideal for that particular user, but obviously it also provides the vidcast capability, the Slido capability. Again, some examples of some of the different devices that you might want to think about using that user package. And some kind of classic use cases for that particular user package. Gamma Plus. So when we talk about Gamma Plus, what we're looking at here are some overlay features that you can bring into the product. So although we've gone through those different user packages, and I hope I've been able to illustrate that they do provide a lot of feature set out of the box, but there are some other overlay features that you can bring into Webex AI Voice as well, which provide very specific feature sets and capabilities. So again, I won't kind of touch on all of these in the interest of time, but you might want the ability to take payments over the phone from a customer. So if you're an organization that needs to take a payment over the phone from a customer, as you will well know, you need to do that in a secure and compliant manner in order to adhere to what's called PCI DSS compliance. So one of those overlay features allows you to do that. PCI secure call allows a user, whilst we're at that part of the call where we need to take payment from the customer over the phone, the ability to click on a button that secures the call, and then it allows the person that we're speaking to, using their telephone keypad, to insert their relevant payment details. So your team member is completely protected from being able to be exposed to the customer's payment details. All the agent basically sees is whether that payment has been secured successfully, yes or not. So, as I say, what that then allows for is a kind of PCI compliance. CRM integrations as well. So you may have a CRM platform that you guys use currently, and you might want your telephony platform to integrate with that CRM platform. So what we're talking about here is when you receive an inbound call from a customer, you want that CRM record, that customer contact record, to be presented to the team member that's actually taken the call. So we actually know who it is we're speaking to. We can see all the relevant, sensitive customer information that's at your team members' fingertips. So these are just an example of some of the additional capabilities that you can bring into the product through Gamma Plus. So as we've already kind of touched upon, Webex and Microsoft, they integrate together really well. So obviously, as we've already seen, both Webex, Cisco Webex, and Microsoft Teams very much Gartner Magic Quadrant leading UCaaS propositions. But as I say, it's fair to say that they integrate together very tightly as well. Just take a look at the next slide. So these are just some of the examples of some of those deep integrations that Cisco Webex provides into the Microsoft product stack. So you have the abilities we've already talked about to integrate with Microsoft Teams, basically embed the Cisco Webex call control directly inside of Teams to voice enable Microsoft Teams, whilst at the same time not requiring any of the Microsoft licensing that's ordinarily required to do just that. You've also got the ability to integrate with Active Directory. So in other words, if all of your user accounts are created within your Microsoft environment, you probably only want to create those user accounts in one place. You don't want to create them again in your telephony product. So using Active Directory integration with Webex allows you to do just that. You can manage your user accounts in one place and then populate Webex with those user accounts. Then you can apply the necessary functions and controls that you want to be appended to those users across voice, meetings, and messaging capabilities. And Webex also integrates very tightly into Microsoft 365. So what was once Microsoft Office, so you can see there calendar integration, contacts, click to dial capabilities from an Outlook contact, for example, as well as the ability to even embed Webex messaging into Office documents. So again, using the project manager as an example, a project manager might be doing a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation in relation to a project that they are currently managing, and the ability to then embed some messaging, some collaboration within a Webex space that they can immediately gain access to within that PowerPoint presentation. So lots of very tight integration options and capabilities. And these integrations come out of the box. There's no additional licensing that's required to light up these integration capabilities with the Microsoft stack. So again, I think we kind of looked at this in some detail in the previous slide, but again, through the kind of Gamma Plus bolt-ons, these are just some examples again of some of those additional layers of feature set that you can bring into the product. So those extensive integrations, a Kixi analytics, so you get analytics natively with Webex. But what those analytics don't provide is kind of a traditional kind of wallboard experience. So the Webex analytics natively are designed for a supervisor to log into and view personally, rather than those analytics to be displayed on a big kind of TV screen wallboard. But the good news is, if you want that kind of traditional wallboard experience, that's what the Kixi analytics bolt-on provides, to give you those sets of insights and that kind of traditional wallboard experience. An attendant console very much aimed at that kind of reception type function that needs that kind of all-encompassing view of who's in Do Not Disturb. I want to cherry pick which call I answer because this is a VIP customer that's calling in, even though we have other calls queuing in front of that particular call, etc., etc. So like I say, just to give you a little bit of an idea of some of those overlay features that you can bring into the proposition. Yep, just go to the next slide. So yeah, this is just to add a little bit further information in relation to that Teams integration that we've covered off. So as I say, Teams integration with Webex is completely free of charge. You don't need any of the Microsoft licensing that would ordinarily be required, as I say. But what you're looking at on the right-hand side there is a setting that's available to you within Webex, whereby you can optimize one of your users' experience of using Webex if their preference is to use Microsoft Teams, or if they're spending a lot of time in Microsoft Teams in meetings, for example. So what you are able to do for that user is, as I say, is optimize that user's experience of using that Microsoft Teams integration. So ultimately, you can almost like completely hide the WebEx application from that user's desktop and provide that user with the illusion that they are just using Microsoft Teams for all of their collaboration and calling requirements, whilst at the same time still gaining from all of those benefits that WebEx brings into the mix. So things like the ability to participate in call queues, the ability for those calls to be analyzed and reported upon, the ability for those calls to be recorded, and all of those AI capabilities that come hand in hand with those call recordings, namely AI generated summaries, transcriptions, and the like. So another feature that, well, it's actually, well, I think what we're going to do here is just go a little bit further into some of the AI capabilities within the product, which we've kind of briefly touched upon. So we just go to the next slide. We'll do a little bit of a deeper dive into some of those AI capabilities. So the first one that we'll touch upon here that I've not mentioned is smart audio. So this is an AI capability that kind of sits under the bonnet. And what this is constantly looking to do is to improve the audio quality of a call. So if you're handling a call either within a WebEx application on your desktop or on your mobile device or even a physical phone, what the smart audio AI is constantly looking to do is to improve the audio quality of the call, so much to the degree whereby if you receive an inbound call from a customer that's on a mobile and they're at the side of a motorway with, with vehicles whizzing past them at 70 miles an hour, and it's a kind of terrible audio quality call, if you've answered that call on either a Cisco device or a WebEx application, that audio quality to you will be absolutely A1 crystal clear. So that's just an example of an AI capability that kind of sits under the bonnet on WebEx. Vidcast, this is the feature that we referenced earlier on, which is a tool that allows you to create video content on the desktop. So there's a multitude of use cases for Vidcast, but some classic use cases that we hear about quite a lot are for sales teams. So for example, a salesperson, what they would typically do, if I've got to get a quote out to somebody, I'll write a Word document and that'll be my quote. That quote will have, details of my product or service on it, along with a commercial proposal. Then I will typically attach that to an email and then blindly email that to a customer. So an alternative to that, using Vidcast on WebEx, instead of just emailing that document to a customer, you can instead create a vidcast. So create a little video within WebEx, share your desktop, and while you've got that document open, create a voiceover where you're talking through your quote or your proposal. Then instead of actually just sending the document to the customer, you can instead send them a link to that video that you've created. And the key benefit of that in a sales scenario is once the recipient has clicked on that video and viewed it, which they can do in their browser, they don't need WebEx to view that video, the owner of that video content will get an email notification that video has been viewed. So if that's a salesperson and that's a quote, that's my cue to then follow up with a phone call, to follow up and speak to that customer to see, have you had a chance to see my proposal? Because I know you've seen it. I've got an email notification telling me you viewed it. So that's a classic use case for the Vidcast feature. So we're going to take a quick look at the devices available on the platform. Let's go to the next slide, please. So yeah, there's a very extensive device range on WebEx. So Gamma has Cisco devices, we have Poly devices and Yealink devices, as well as multi-cell DEC devices. So any organizations that have kind of big warehouse facilities and the like, and you've got team members that are roaming around different office locations, DECT devices are ideal for those types of users that are roaming around those locations, as well as Cisco video enablement equipment as well, to be used in conjunction with user packages that support WebEx meetings capabilities. But it's probably also worth saying as well that what WebEx also provides is multi-vendor device support as well. So as I said earlier on, if you've got some devices that you want to retain, if you moved over to WebEx, then the likelihood is that device will be supported on WebEx calling. So Cisco with WebEx, they have support for around about 150 or so different third-party vendors' devices. So lots and lots of scope around that bring your own device kind of deployment strategy should you need to retain your devices. But as I say, in addition to that, there are a very, very comprehensive suite of devices across both Cisco, Poly, and Yealink that you can purchase and take on Webex AI Voice. So in terms of roadmap for the product, with WebEx being a Cisco platform, as you can imagine, Cisco has a pretty large R&D budget for WebEx to the tune of about $2 billion per annum. So, of course, what that means is Cisco are constantly introducing new feature sets and capabilities into the proposition at a rate of knots. And I think the next slide just references some of those imminent features that Cisco are going to be introducing into WebEx. So again, I won't kind of go through all of these in the interest of time, but just to give you an idea of some of the features that are coming very, very soon. The ability for agents using the customer assist user package to gain access to real-time summaries. So whilst we're in a call with a customer, we'll get presented with a summary. If we transfer that call to another team member, that user will get a summary of the conversation up to that point that the previous team member that transferred the call through to them has had with that customer. So what that provides from a customer experience scenario, with the person we transfer the call through to having access to that summary of what's been discussed, what we're not doing is asking the customer to repeat themselves. We can see what's been discussed, and it lends itself to provide a much richer customer experience in that particular scenario. AI voice receptionist is coming soon as well. So this is the ability for an AI voice receptionist to be embedded within the product to actually handle and triage your calls. So you can feed that AI voice receptionist a knowledge base of all of your kind of company information that you want that AI voice receptionist to relay back to the caller if that caller asks any questions in relation to any of that content. So it ultimately becomes a 24 hours a day, 7 days a week AI receptionist that can handle customer inquiries, but also the ability, should the caller say, can you transfer me through to a team member, please? The ability for you to then decide which particular call queue or team or individual that call is presented to, if the caller wants to break out of that particular call interaction and have a live conversation with an agent. So I hope that's been useful and it's given you a bit of a flavor as to some of the feature sets and capabilities within the product. But what I'm going to do at this stage is hand back to Eve. Many thanks.
Thank you so much for that, Jason. And I really liked how you highlighted the value of being there for your customers at the right time and putting the right person forward as quickly as possible, because there's nothing more frustrating than being put on hold about 5 times as they're trying to locate the right person. So, and the quality of the calls as well is very, very important thing to touch on. So thank you for your time this morning. We've had a few questions come in from a few people who couldn't make the webinar this morning that they've asked me to ask you. So
Sure.
the first one is they had issues with their call where it kept cutting off, and they were wondering, how does the call quality influence the AI generated insights that you get? But I think you might have covered that with the general call quality being improved.
No, it's a good question. So what you're able to do on WebEx, as we've gone through today, what you get on WebEx is access to native analytics or native reports and dashboards within the Control Hub platform. Now, those analytics are not just specific to kind of call activity, who's answered the most calls, or what's the average answer time today. Yes, of course, you get those kind of traditional analytics,
Yeah.
but what that analytics suite also provides is diagnostic level insights for IT teams and support teams. So if you ever do get a situation where there is a poor audio quality call and there's a complaint from a customer to that effect,
Mm-hmm.
what you're able to do via those analytics is gain access to that very call interaction. And what what Webex will provide you with is an insight into what the exact cause of that issue was. So what it enables support teams and IT
Hmm.
teams access to is that ability to find a needle in a haystack. What was the cause of that problem, if
Yeah.
indeed we did, get a poor audio quality experience?
That makes sense. Thank you for explaining that. And another question was, does AI voice keep up with fast speakers? I know that I can be quite a fast speaker sometimes, but if there's a call coming on, will they be able to basically keep up with all kind of levels of talking?
Well, yeah, I mean, from the testing I've done, I suppose what we're referring to there specifically is the real-time transcription. So you can
Yeah.
enable real-time transcription in WebEx, whereby what you can see within the WebEx application is a real-time
Mhm.
transcription of the call as it's happening.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen so far, it's pretty accurate. And similarly, at the end of a call as well, where those AI generated summaries and transcriptions are generated and are accessible
Mhm.
by users within the WebEx application, they are very, very accurate. And that spans, speed of speech as well as
Mhm.
different dialects as well. It seems to be very, very accurate. So, there's a lot of AI capabilities under the bonnet that's allowing for that accuracy around those both real time and historical summaries and transcriptions.
That's brilliant. That just really goes to show the lengths of the tools available. So thank you so much for everything today. Thank you. So everyone to join in, thank you so much. We are here to help strategize and make your journey to WebEx AI Voice that just smoother. So before you get started, you can work with CSG just to establish your business objectives because what you want to get out of these tools are very important and it could differ for each business, no matter the size of organization, your demographics, where you're based, your kind of main customers. It's going to be a bit different for each one. So CSG are here to help you kind of strategize your business objectives to then conduct a cloud readiness assessment plan, which I will be sending the link out to you after this chat today as well, just because it's all about evaluating what stage you're at before you start implementing these tools, isn't it? And then we'll help you build that cloud adoption plan then. And then all relates then into your Azure landing zone and preparing for your migration, which everyone's again talking about moving to the cloud. So this is how we can help support all your systems move to the cloud, not just WebEx AI Voice. But thank you once again for attending our chat today. And if you want to have a quick call with CSG, we are around all day, obviously. Please do set up a meeting. I will put the booking link in the chat now so you can all see it when we sign off today, or give us an email, or feel free to give us a call. Once again, thank you, Jason. It's been an absolute pleasure having you host this webinar this morning. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And yeah, looking forward to seeing some of the conversations that we have about WebEx AI Voice following from this.